Okay, second try. Greetings, my Stampin' friends. This is Linda Tolson Yarbrough, and I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Carrollton, Texas. Been a Stampin' Up demonstrator for 10 years, and I am going to share with you today my first product demonstration. Let me adjust the camera just a tiny bit. I just posted on my blog, which is lindatolsondesigns.com, a card that I made for a friend who unfortunately lost her father this past week. And first I'm going to give a disclaimer. I have two large dogs who don't like it when I come up into my craft room. So they're outside the little dog gate that I have to keep them out of my room, and they're gonna whine, and if they hear a noise they're gonna bark, so I apologize. This is the card I made that I just posted on my blog, and it uses the Jar of Flowers bundle and a few cards from the suite. And I am going to demonstrate this card for you today. I'm going to set it aside so I don't get it all dirty. Jar of Flowers is a photopolymer stamp set, and it's also a, what do they call it? A double-sided stamp set, which means you can stamp with both sides of the stamp set. And the thing you're going to love about these types of stamp sets is when you open it up, they have on the inside the printed images for you to place your stamps, so you don't have to keep them on the sheets of plastic that they come in. But I go ahead and I keep those, and I just take them off and I put them in the back of the stamp case. The ones that are basically two-sided stamps are going to be the jars, and this is supposed to be a water level. So basically, there they go, cue the dogs. One stamp is raised lines, and then the other side of the stamp you could stamp to make a water level. This stamp here, one side is flat, and it can be used to make a color for a straw, and the other side could be the lines for a straw. So I'm going to set this aside. I've used the jar, the stems for the flowers, and the sunflower spray from this stamp set. So I'm going to set this aside. I've started off for all of my white cards and also my very vanilla cards. I always use the thick cardstock. It gives much more oomph to the card base, makes it seem much more of a higher quality, and to me that just makes it better quality card. From the coordinating DSP from the Jar of Flowers suite, which is actually, I think it's Flowers for Every Season is the suite, is the Flowers for Every Season DSP. I chose two design patterns out of this paper to use on this design. One is, it's this blue flower on one side and the green stems and leaves on the other side. Let me set my cardstock pack aside, and I've cut off a 1.5 inch strip, and then I cut it down to 5 1/4. And when I am using my multi-purpose glue, I always use my silicone mat so that I don't get glue all over my grid paper and other things will stick to it. As I've said in my unpacking for my pre-order, I've switched to multi-purpose glue when I'm working with layers, and you really don't have to use a whole lot, because for me it's easier to slide it around. And I have an old shot glass that I probably had for 30 years. I just keep my multi-purpose glue in it tipped down so that it's always at the top. And this way I can move it around and get it to where I want it before it sticks, and I'm not having to pull it up and tear my paper until I get it where I want it. There you go. I'm going to set that aside. Next, for my stamping piece, I cut a piece of the plain Whisper White cardstock, and I apologize for my ratty edges, but I have the old trimmer and I did not change my blade, and I should have. I cut a piece of Whisper White, plain Whisper White, to 3 1/4 to 4 1/4, and I'm going to take the sunflower cluster stamp. And one thing I do with my photopolymer stamps before I stamp them in a dark color, and it's something you probably would want to do if you are weird like me or OCD like me and don't like your stamps to get really stained, is I prime them with my Versamark even after I've stamped with them before, and it just kind of protects them a little bit from getting that stain. And I've done that, and just kind of let them dry a little bit. And that Versamark protects them from that, what I'm about to use, which is the Memento Tuxedo Black, which will stain your photopolymer stamps even if you clean them right away after using. And I'm going to then ink up my Sunburst. And I'm going to look at it, and I could have used my Stamparatus, which I should have, because this is a very detailed stamp, and I want to make sure that I get it really inked. And I'm going to die cut this with a die from the Rectangles Stitch die set. But I want to get kind of close to the top. And for me, the top of the die is where all of the leaves are. So I'm going to get kind of close to the top, try to center it, and then just push it down and hold. And as at one of our Stampin' Up! Conventions many years ago, one of my favorite presenters was Bonnie Thurber, and she would say, and just say to yourself 3 times, Bonnie is wonderful, Bonnie is wonderful, Bonnie is wonderful, to allow the ink to transfer from the stamp to the paper, and then just lift it off. And there you go, perfect stamped image. And because it is Memento ink and it's a photopolymer stamp set, I have a stamping pad here with some Stampin' Mist cleaner. I'm going to clean my stamp pad. I'm going to clean my stamp. You have a wet side and a dry side. And see? Hardly any staining at all. Set my stamp aside. Okay. I'm going to cover that up. Now I need to do something that's going to make the camera shake, because I'm going to cut this out before I do anything further. And since the new stamping machine is not available, or the die cut machine is not available yet, you're going to have to watch me use my Big Shot. And I'm using the 3rd from the largest. Here's the set of dies. I'm using the 3rd from the largest die. And I use a little piece of washi tape to try to keep my die from shifting on me, because it will move even though it's on a magnetic plate, because the magnets are not across the entire plate on this version of our die cut machine. The new version, the entire plate is a magnet. Yay! Can't wait to get the new version. And that popping sound is just where the plate's cut, it reaching the end of that die cut. It's not doing any damage to anything. Then carefully remove my washi tape so it doesn't tear any of my paper. And there is my, you'll see it did cut a little bit off, no big deal. Put my die back on my plate or my magnet so I don't lose it. Put my big shot away. Now I'm ready to color. With my blends. Y'all probably think, oh, this is going to take her forever, but it really doesn't. When using a small image like this, it's always best. You'll notice when you get your Stampin' blends that you have two ends. One you have has a thick line and one has a thin line. Thick line means it's a brush end, and the thin line means that it's a pencil point end. For the small images, I use the pencil point end. I am using the wrong one. I want to use the light. I'm using Mossy Meadow Light for these leaves. And I'm just going to lightly, the brush tip is barely touching the paper. The thing with alcohol markers is that the ink will bleed across the paper, and it bleeds through the paper. So you'll want to make sure that when you are coloring with them, that you are coloring with, that you are not coloring on top of something that you could ruin if it bleeds through, such as your mother's favorite tablecloth on her table. That would be very bad. Let's see, I think that's it for that. Oh, one more thing. I'm not done stamping. I noticed that when I was putting my card together, I was actually inspired by this card by a demonstrator, my upline actually, Amy Story. She had made one using a different bouquet of flowers. And when I made mine with the sunflowers, I noticed that when I made my jar and was going to put it on there, that the jar and the flowers did not meet. And so I needed to stamp the stems. So I made me a mask so that I could stamp my stems and not mess up my flowers. So there you go. And now when I lay my jar on top of that, what did I do with my cleaner? The stems will show in addition and leading up to the flower bouquet. Okay. Put that aside. And this is what I colored. Also colored these. Now, how many of you loved coloring when you were kids? And I will say that I'm not paying any attention to the comments, so if you're online, I'd love it. And I will acknowledge you after the video. I'll go back and I will review the comments and answer any questions you may have. Also, I'm not sure if you can see or not, but I have created today a host code, and if you place an order between now and Monday, an order of at least $50, I will send to you a embellishment for free. It will be a mystery embellishment. It'll be something I'll select and send to you, as well as a selection of cards that I have in my stash that I have made. So it'll be a little free gift for me to you, just as an appreciation for placing an online order in my store. Let's see, what can I say about myself? You know, I have 2 dogs now because you've heard them barking. I also have 2 cats. I have a wonderful husband who spoils me rotten. I used to be a legal secretary, but I can't do that work anymore because I have been now declared disabled, which is kind of sad, but it's what happens when you acquire an immune disease like I have. So I can't work full-time anymore. It's kind of sad. Let's see. I love Stampin' Up. Like I said earlier, I've been a demonstrator for 10 years. My favorite thing is to make cards. I've never been able to make scrapbooks. I have tons of pictures from my wedding 6 years ago. I had bought all of the, at the time, we had the Project Life kits and stuff in our catalogs, and I bought all of those to make scrapbooks for our wedding photos. And I need a new crumb cake. Need a new crumb cake marker. So I guess I'll add that to my supply list. In case you didn't notice at the time of the retirement list coming out, these Stampin' Blends are now only available in the combo packs, so I'll be getting a new combo pack of crumb cake Stampin' Up markers. When I color with my blends, I try to do the dark shades first. And I'm not an expert, but I try to shade where, like on a fold or in a petal bend, where it would, in Logic, be a shadow or something. And that's how I shade. And then I come in with the lighter color and just blend it in. And that way you don't have too much of the dark shade, and the light shade just blends it in. It'll be more noticeable when I start with the yellow for the Mango Melody for the sunflowers. The petal pink that I'm using here on the smaller flowers is not very easy to notice. And these little buds here are so small, I'm just going to do them all in the darker petal pink. Okay, set that aside. And I'm not exactly sure what this flower is, but I'm just going to use the lighter shade of the balmy blue on it. Now, for the sunflowers, I'm just going to go along here where all of these obvious black lines are, I'm going to make those as shadings. And you'll be able to see what I mean about shade. What did I say? Blending it in with the lighter color. Sorry, my dogs are downstairs wrestling, so you might be able to hear. One of my dogs is a black mouth cur, and it's so funny when they start playing. She has this T-Rex sound that comes out of her mouth. It's quite hilarious. Okay, now for this one I'm going to use the brush in, but I'm going to be very careful, try not to over blend it through past the petal, because it will. See how that is blending that darker shade up into there? It looks like I might have had a cat hair on my stamp there. Well, as we say here at my house, cat hairs and dog hairs are embellishments to all of our projects. Don't go anywhere without them. I'm surprised my cat is not up here. She's usually up here on my desk. When I print, she tries to get the paper as it comes out of the printer. It's quite hilarious. Okay, last flower. Oh, I hear her. She's coming. Okay. All right. Now, going to make my jar. Also, when I stamp with photopolymer stamps, they say to use the piercing mat underneath, but I find that using just the silicone mat underneath gives it just enough cushion so that it transfers off the photopolymer stamps well enough. The difference between the photopolymer stamps and the red rubber stamps is that the red rubber has that little piece of foam that gives enough pressure to transfer the ink off of the stamp, and the photopolymer does not. So this little extra cushion of the silicone mat helps to transfer that ink off. And I just got yuck on my hands. Okay. I'm going to stamp the jar onto the piece of the blue dot DSP from the same set of designer series paper that we got, the one from the strip from the that we adhered to the card earlier. And I'm gonna, Bonnie is wonderful, Bonnie is wonderful, Bonnie is wonderful. In this tuxedo black, you'll notice that it kind of made a noise when I pulled it off. It is a sticky ink, not as sticky as the Versamark, but it is sticky, so that's why it makes that noise. Put my lid back on the ink pad, get out of the way. Now I'm gonna spray my fingers because I don't want to get black ink on my white card. Clean my stamp. right here is the coordinating punch. It's the jar punch that goes, it's part of the bundle with the stamp set. You can buy it, you can buy this as the bundle, or you can buy the suite, which includes the stamp, the jar punch, the DSP paper, the ribbon pack, and I think there's some other items I'll show you here in the catalog before I jump off. But I'm gonna punch this out, just align it. Okay. And because I'm going to put this on my card with dimensionals, I'm going to punch out another one on cardstock. I don't have the Misty Moonlight, so this is just a piece of Night of Navy, which is pretty close in case it peeks out on the sides. Line that up. Multi-purpose glue. It dries really fast. And I wrapped some of the, it's a silver tinsel and blue and white baker's twine, which is part of the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. And I just took a piece, wrapped it around once, wrapped it around 1.5 times. Where's my original card? Nope, just wrapped it around the one time. When I tied it, looks like it's wrapped around twice. Okay. Tie it in a bow. I've left it adhered to the bolt so that I don't waste ribbon. It's always my goal not to waste ribbon. Can she tie a ribbon live on video? By the way, my nails are just glued on nails, so if one pops off and goes flying, don't panic. They've been on for about a week and they are feeling very loose. So don't be surprised. I have not been to nail salon or hair salon since January, so I am not camera ready. All right. Now I'm going to cheat because I don't like using my paper snips for cutting ribbon. I have some of the original ribbon scissors, which if anyone ever uses to cut paper with, I nearly have a heart attack. Cut that. Set my ribbon aside. So now, going to assemble my card you're going to laugh at me because I am a dimensional demon. Can never use too many dimensionals on a card. That looks about right. And put dimensionals on this one as well. I like to put dimensionals actually on that ribbon part so that they don't slide around. One more in the middle for good look. And see how those stems just happen to just poke out. Was not going to work without the stems. Okay, now I made mine into a sympathy card. And for that I used a stamp set that I've had that actually I was glad still carried over. It's called Itty Bitty Greetings. It's a two-part stamp set. It has so many different greetings. It's 32 stamps in this stamp set. I used the one that said, where is it? With love and sympathy, as you can see. I used, which is here. I mean, I can go ahead and stamp that and show it to you, but basically I stamped it on a piece of Whisper White and cut it out with the smallest long rectangular die, but there's no need for me to do that because I want to make it into something else. So let me show you this product suite in the catalog. See if I can find the page it's on. Let's see. Tried to mark all of my product suites. Yes, here it is. Okay. It's called Flowers for Every Season. And for the entire suite, you get the Jar of Flowers bundle, which is this stamp set with this punch. You get Celebrate Sunflowers stamp set, which is this stamp set with the and there's a set of dies that goes with it. Let me see what page 175. This set of dies right here. So you would get that stamp set here with this set of dies here. Okay. The Flowers for Every Season DSP, which is this here. We've used 2 pieces of it. But this that we use today with this on the other side. This design 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 with this on the other side. This one. This one. This one. That one. And then this is what you used on the front of the card. That's the back side of it. This one. And then that lastly, this one. Okay. And then you would get a set of Memories and More cards, which is on page 154. These cards. And then you would get the Memories and More envelopes and cards. The shaker domes. Which page is that? 158. I told you about these in my unboxing, that when you use the punch, you get these domes and you can make them into shaker cards. And if you seal them up properly, there's some way you can seal them where you can actually put water in them. Some people have done those when we had the snow globes in our holiday catalog. Flowers for Every Season ribbon, which is what I used in today's project, the 3 ribbons. I used the silver tinsel ribbon. Flowers for Every Season gems, which are these green and white gems. I think they're beads. Faceted gems and epoxy drops. And Stampin' Blends combo pack. You would get Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight. And you get all of those products as a suite. And there's, with the exception of the bundled items, which is the Jar of Flowers and the Celebrate Sunflowers, there's not a discount price, but it makes it easier to order for all of the entire suite. One product number, it's $180.50. So there you go. During the month of June, Stampin' Up! Is offering an extra $25 in Stampin' Up! Bonus dollars when you spend $250. So instead of just the 10% that you normally get, like when you purchase $250, you would get $25 that you could get in free product. You would now get $50 in free product. So that's a good bonus there. And if you wanted to become a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, they're now offering the option of you getting a free bundle as part of your kit. So lots of options out there. If you have any questions, please drop me a line, visit me on my blog, send me an email, call me, whatever. I think that's all I have to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed my project. If you have any questions, please just contact me. I hope to do more of these. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed it. And any comments, questions, critiques, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for taking the time to visit my live, and you enjoy your rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.